Every month, there are more than 1 million people getting hired for a job that they applied for, whether that be their dream job or a job they need as another source of income. They all had to get through the nerve-wracking interview process. So today, I'll be giving you 5 ways on how you can dominate an interview and get that job that you always wanted. Starting with number 1, body posture and appearance. Before we dive into what to say in an interview, we need to focus on how you look. I used to be a manager at Chipotle when I was in college, and I had a fair share of interviews that I had to deal with, and let me tell you, there were some characters. They ranged from teenagers who just wanted a job to make some money to middle-aged people at some point of their life. And no shame to middle-aged people, but there were some interesting characters there. Now, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. As humans, we tend to unfortunately judge a book by its covers. Which is fair because think about it, if you had your own company, would you want someone that looked like they just rolled out of bed, doesn't really care about their appearance, they have a lot of acne on their face, they pull up in wrinkly clothes representing your company? Or would you want someone that's a clean-cut guy that looks like they can take care of themselves, is responsible, and looks like they can represent the company professionally? They're gonna go with the guy that takes care of himself. It's literally nothing personal, it's strictly business, and it's a really cold world. So before you head into an interview, you wanna make sure that you have an outfit that fits the occasion, already laid out the night before. Make sure it's ironed and not wrinkled. This fit includes some type of dress shoes or boat shoes, followed by some really nice dress pants, or khakis or chinos. A nice belt, and it doesn't have to be designer. I personally think that's a waste of money. But a nice little brown or black belt. If you know that you sweat a lot, and I'm talking about like perspirating like a sponge that's getting squeezed out after doing dishes, then wear a plain white undershirt or a tank top so it can absorb the moisture, absorb the sweat. Especially if you know that your nipples tend to poke out. An undershirt or a tank top will definitely be beneficial in that instance. And obviously a nice dress shirt and a tie. If you wanna get a little bougie, throw on a little vest. That wouldn't hurt. Cuff the buttons up on your shirt and you're golden. When it comes to how you smell, just don't forget to put on a nice smelling deodorant, okay? It's just something that you use to prevent you from sweating. Don't overthink it. You don't want anything too strong. Now, when it comes to body posture, it's fairly simple. Don't slouch. And a trick that you can use is to imagine that you have a hook in your hand, right? And on your chest is where the hook goes. You basically take that hook and clip it to your chest and pull your chest up. Feel it and remember it. That's how your posture should be. And of course, maintain eye contact with the interviewer and you're good to go. Number 2, do your research. An interview is basically your chance to find out if a company is worth your time, not the other way around. That's the attitude you should have. So before an interview, you need to do research on what the company stands for. Search up the company on Google, go to their webpage, and go to their About or their Discover section. Anything that talks about the value that they bring to the people, along with the values that they have as a company. And as you read and take notes, you'll be able to use those notes and drop information about the company values and how it aligns with your values while you're in an interview. And that will impress the interviewer. Why? Because that right there, most people wouldn't even think about doing that, which will separate you from the competition because the interviewer will know that you went the extra mile and did your research, which is essentially comparable to going above and beyond in the actual work field. Going above and beyond in your work to get something done. And if you want to turn it up a notch, include a story of your own that defines a hardship that you went through and relate that to the values that the company honors, which are usually integrity, honesty, trust, cooperation, but still do your research on the company. Moving on to number 3, asking questions. So remember how I said that an interview is basically your chance to find out if a company is worth your time, not the other way around? Well, to further enforce that, you need to ask some questions yourself. This serves 2 purposes: to get a gauge on whether you want to work at that company and to show the interviewer that you aren't timid or nervous to get your questions answered, which will translate well in the workforce. So what questions are you going to ask? I'll give you 5. Can you describe the company culture and how it supports employee growth and development? What are the short-term and long-term goals for this position and the team? How does a company promote work-life balance and employee well-being? What opportunities are there for professional development and advancement within the company? Can you walk me through a typical career path for someone in this role? Now, it doesn't have to be word for word, bar for bar, but I'm telling you, saying something along the lines of these questions will show the interview that you mean business and you're serious about your career growth. And again, if this job is for shits and giggles to get some money, then I wouldn't get that in depth with asking questions. You can though. Like for example, if you're working at a fast food place or a place that offers minimum wage for a crew member position, most of the time those places are desperately looking for people to fill that position. So you can kind of have a lax approach in this instance, but many other important positions that's beneficial for your career growth, you want to ask those questions. All right, so far to be successful in an interview, I said you have to work on your appearance, do your research, ask questions. Now let's talk about the last two. But don't forget the download Kingsters though. Number 4, shaking the interviewer's hand. So I forgot to mention this in the beginning of the video, but if there's anything that you take away from this video, is have a firm, masculine handshake. A handshake is important in interviews because it's often the first physical interaction that you have with the interviewer, and it sets the tone for the rest of the conversation. A firm, confident handshake conveys professionalism, confidence, and respect, and it leaves a positive impression on the interviewer, which shows that you're confident in yourself and respectful of others. Think about it. If you give someone a flimsy handshake, in most instances, that's considered disrespectful to a lot of people. And you're just gonna be known as that guy that can't give a proper handshake. You're gonna be known as being feminine, not masculine, which is honestly worse than being known as the guy that smells bad, the stinky dude. Because having a flimsy handshake shows uncertainty and lack of confidence. And that's not how you wanna set the tone for an interview. So how do you get a firm handshake? Well, this involves a couple key elements. The firmness. You wanna practice gripping another person's hands firmly, pause, but not too tightly. You wanna show a little bit of confidence, but you don't wanna overwhelm that person. The duration. The handshake should probably last between 2 to 3 seconds. You don't wanna hold on for dear life. You wanna give that person a little bit of room to breathe. The eye contact. Maintaining eye contact while shaking hands, this is the most important part about it. That's where the confidence exudes from. If you're able to look at someone while you're shaking their hands, it shows that you're there and it shows that you know yourself. It shows that you ain't scared. The body language, like I mentioned before, you want to stand up with your back straight, extend your arm confidently and offer a handshake with an open palm. Not like this, not like that, keep it simple. You don't want to seem closed off. And if you're practicing, it's always good to get feedback from your friends or family members and ask how you can improve in your handshake. To use them to get a gauge on how firm your handshake is and the overall impression that you're giving. If you don't have any friends or family members that are willing to do this with you, then you can use any clothes that you got, ball them up and try practicing that way. But just use your friends and family. It's not that bad. Remember that the goal is to make a positive and professional impression. So practicing these elements can help you achieve that. Therefore, establishing good rapport and a memorable first impression. Last but not least, a successful success story. In the interview, as the interviewer gets to understand your value little by little, there is a 110% chance with a 10% margin of error that they will ask you this question. Can you tell me about a time that you faced a personal challenge or task and how you overcame it? At the end of tip number 2, I mentioned that you should have a personal story that aligns with the value of the company and something that shows off your success. Success stories are important in interviews because they provide concrete examples of your skills, your accomplishments, your problem-solving abilities. They demonstrate your ability to handle challenges, achieve results, and contribute to the success of the role that you were in beforehand. Sharing stories allow you to flex your strength, all right? Show off your experience in a compelling way. It's your story. Make it how you want. This helps the interviewer understand who you are as a person and how you can add value to their company. Having those success stories can help you stand out from any other candidate simply by highlighting the unique achievements you had before, highlighting your qualifications. Now, I don't know you, I don't know your personal life, but you need to make sure that you're prepared for this question with a success story. So I'll help you. First, you gotta think about a challenge that you presented in your life, whether it be in your family, at school, or at a previous job. They love hearing about previous jobs and how you overcame the challenge. Structure the story in the way using the STAR method, which is identifying the situation, that's S, the task required, the action that you took, and the result. Make sure it's positive. Practice telling that story over and over again like it's second nature to you and you're golden. There are many other questions that you're gonna be asked in the interview, but you can find those on the internet. I'll probably link that down in the description below. You can practice with them with your eyes closed, but by answering this question perfectly, that has the potential to get you the job right then and there. Believe me. But I hope you guys found value in what you heard in today's video. Share this to someone who's about to have an interview and desperately wants to get this job. I guarantee you that they'll get their dream job if they follow these 5 steps. Other than that, develop a prodigy mindset and tackle your problems with everything you got. I believe in you. Take care. Peace.